Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 2 of Girl Healed. This episode will be about you not being able to heal what you keep hiding. And so I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like this episode is going to be extremely freeing for me because personally, I'm one of those, I'm okay it until I can't okay no more, knowing the whole time I'm not okay. Why is it so easy to say that you're fine when you are really not fine? I'm wondering if it's just easier to say that you're fine because it limits the conversation that you have. If I'm being honest, I am a crier, y'all. I can be trying to articulate what's going on with me and bust out into tears because as a woman, I hold so much in. I always feel like I have to be strong. I always feel like I have to show up a certain way. And so most of the time I'm holding stuff in. I'm making sure everyone else is okay before taking care of Shakira. That's one thing that I've noticed that I'm guilty of, that other women may be guilty of, is pretending to be okay and they're not. When is the last time that you told someone that you were fine? And you really weren't. And why did you tell them that? Did you think that it was easier? Did you think that you would fall apart if you answered it? Or did you think they just genuinely did not care? Are you just asking me to see if I'm going to continue to be able to produce or work or do whatever it is that I'm doing for you? I think that is a great conversation to have within yourself. When you're saying you're fine, are you truly fine? Or is it just a cop out, an easy way to shift the conversation? I wanted to talk about high functioning hurt. I know personally, and I'm about to just be completely vulnerable. I was in a relationship. It was not the best relationship. And I would just be so hurt and so heartbroken. And for months of me just showing up to work, heartbroken, showing up to work, just trying to make it through the day. At one point, I was having to stop in the middle of the day, get up, go into the garage, sit in my car, and I would just cry. It was just a really tough time for me. And so I remember that the high functioning part was that I was putting out all of these things. I had an e-commerce store and I was making everything you could think of. I was doing it right. And I was high functioning. And from the outside, it looked like she must be really in a good space because she is producing and putting all of these things out. And the whole time I was falling apart. I was not sleeping. I was weeping. It was just a really, really dark time in my life. And I just remember how much I would try to show up. And it was like I was excelling at work. I was doing all of these things great, but at the foundation and the core of that, there was hurt and deep hurt, extreme hurt. And so I always wondered, how beneficial is it to help everyone else but neglect yourself? How beneficial is it to continue to pour into everyone else while you're drowning, to continue to show up for everyone else while you're drowning, but then want everyone else to feel safe with you? And so that is something that I think is just so, I guess, freeing to finally say out loud that there has been moments in my life where I was hurting. There has been moments in my life where I was heartbroken. There have been moments in my life where honestly, I was just literally existing, going through the motions of life. I wasn't processing my emotions. I wasn't doing anything but just trying to show up. I was exhausted mentally, physically, just exhausted. That is definitely something that I think as women, we have to be mindful of, because I noticed that when I am in a season of trying to navigate healing and trying to process hurt, that I didn't become high functioning. I become productive. I just start doing all of these things because I'm thinking that it's keeping my mind off of everything. But in it, keeping my mind off of everything, how am I healing? Because I'm not hitting it dead on. I'm not dealing with it dead on. The things that we don't confront end up being unhealed wounds. And they can go from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s. All this time passes by, and then you finally realize, I haven't healed that. I haven't dealt with that, right? I haven't gone back to that place when I was feeling hurt to truly deal with what it was that I was feeling, or to address what it was that I was feeling. Productivity yes, it can mask what it is that you're feeling, but it does not heal it, right? You can do all of these great things, but if you don't address what it is that has you hurting or heartbroken or whatever feeling that is that you're feeling, whether it's grief, whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever it is that you're feeling, if you do not get to the root of why you're feeling what you're feeling. If you try to mask it with other things, if you try to mask it with productivity, are you venting to release it or are you venting to relive it? To keep giving life to it, what's supposed to be deemed dead. Sometimes some things, yes, it's freeing to talk about. Other things, it's like, are you truly going to heal if you keep talking about this? You want to be one way, but you keep talking about how you used to be. And that's something that I had to be mindful of as well, is that when I'm speaking about my past sometimes and I'm telling all these crazy party stories and everything, that sometimes I get so caught up in telling how I used to be that I'm not highlighting who I've become. And so just being mindful of those conversations again, because we know that the power of death and life is in the tongue. Being mindful of what it is that we are saying about ourselves, what we're saying about our situations, what we're saying about our healing, what we're saying about our mind. When we look in the mirror, what do we see and what do we say about ourselves? If nobody was to judge you, and if you could truly be honest with yourself, what is it that you are hiding that you know you need to bring to the forefront so that you can truly heal? Is it grief? Is it rejection? Is it loneliness? Is it insecurity? Is it the fear of failure? Is it the fear of being seen? Is it shame? It's so many things that we can be hiding, especially as women. And so I just want you to sit for a few minutes. And if you could be honest with yourself, really think about what it is that you are struggling with. In full transparency, something that I am struggling with is that I believe that in this season of my life, I remember my big sister it was a couple of months ago, and she had texted me randomly. It was late at night, and she texted me and was like, Shakira, guard your heart. I don't know why God continues to show me your face. And every time I'm hearing guard your heart, I'm seeing your face. And at the time, I really need to hear that I needed to guard my heart. I needed to be more mindful, and not even just in romantic relationships, but just across the board. Being mindful of who has access to what essentially regulates everything about you, because you have your mind and then you have your heart. And when those two things are out of whack, you are then out of whack, because our mind dictates our movement, our emotions, our actions. And then our heart is what allows us to feel. It allows us to be compassionate and empathetic and all of these things. And so while the heart is good and allowing it to feel is good, allowing it to overfeel can be detrimental. And so just being mindful of what it is that you allow to enter into your heart. I say all the time that while I love music, I understand that sometimes in certain seasons of my life, I can't listen to certain things. I'm trying to heal and I'm trying to keep moving. I'm trying to keep going. But if I'm sitting listening to sad songs all the time about baby, I want you back and all that stuff, that is not beneficial to what I'm trying to do in the moment. I think sometimes too that many of us hide that we're afraid of being misunderstood. So we reach a place where we become silent. We no longer try to explain ourselves. We no longer try to sometimes even connect with other people, because we're trying to eliminate being misunderstood. It is hard to be understood by everyone. There's always going to be people that misunderstand you, and sometimes it's not intentionally. It's just that we all have different perspectives. We all have different upbringings and backgrounds and things that make us who we are. You may not always be understood, and that is completely okay. We may be afraid of we may be afraid of being seen differently if we do become honest with the things that we struggle with, if we do become honest with the things that we're hiding, that you may be seen differently. You're always strong, and you're always all of these great things and attributes that make you who you are to your core. And so who wants to alter that? Because we're being honest with that, we're hurting right now. And so I think it's so important as women that we get to a place where we no longer care about how it is that we're seen if it involves our healing. We don't care how it is that we're seen, right? That we go to who it is that we need to go to and we say, hey, I'm hurting. Today is not a good day for me. I would love to be able to sit and listen to you. I would love to be able to pour into you. But on today, I can't do that because I have to show up for me. On today, I have to allow myself to be honest with me, to accept that I'm struggling. Another thing that we may be afraid of is disappointment. When I was younger, something that I had to free myself from was feeling as if I did something wrong, that I would be a disappointment to my family. That if I was honest with the things that I was doing at the time, that I would be a disappointment to my family. I think when we reach certain spaces in our lives that, especially from a spiritual aspect, that we tend to try to hide because we have certain church cultures that make it seem like when you make a mistake that you shouldn't speak on those mistakes. You shouldn't be honest with what it is that you're struggling with. And I don't think that's healthy. One thing that allowed me to give grace to myself is that I realized that God in his sovereignty, he does not want you to run from him when you're wrong. He wants you to run to him. Draw near to him and he will draw near to you. And so always remember that he does not want you to run away from him. He does not want you to hide from him. He does not want you to get to a place where shame becomes your identity. As women, we always try to make sure that we're doing what's politically correct and we're saying what's politically correct. But in that, we limit our authenticity. It is okay to say how you feel. It is okay to stand on how you feel. It is okay to acknowledge what it is that you are feeling in a healthy way. How can I say, you know what? You hurt me in this moment. I acknowledge that you hurt me in this moment, but I'm mature enough to talk about this with you. I'm mature enough to acknowledge that I'm hurting, and me hurting does not make me weak. And in order for me to get to a place of healing, I feel like I need to talk about it. I need to say what it is that's on my mind. And so healing starts with honesty. You have to be honest with yourself, which is why I love the title of this, because you cannot heal what you continue to hide. You have to be transparent enough with yourself to say what it is that you're struggling with, to say what it is that you're dealing with, to be honest and stop denying it. Stop denying it. Denying it does not make it go away. It's still there. You can deny it until you blue in the face, and it's still there waiting for you at the door, saying, I'm still here. I didn't go nowhere. You didn't address me. You didn't speak to what it is that you're feeling and what you're dealing with. Stop minimizing your pain. I'm a person, I feel deeply. I have a big heart. And if I'm being completely honest, in this season, my heart has cost me some things. It has cost me some things. And it's not because I didn't have discernment. It's not because I was trying to see the good in people that were not good or anything like that. It was simply that I realized that I was trying to pour. I was trying to be a genuine person, friend, family, whatever it is. I was trying to be my authentic self. And so I continued trying to show up. I continued trying to minimize my pain. Yeah, you hurt me. You made me feel a certain type of way, but we can try to be friends. Yeah, you know what? That rocked me to my core, but I'm going to show you some grace. Yeah, before you called me, I was probably boohoo crying and a mess. But I feel like I have to still try to deal with you in some type of way because, of course, that's what God calls us to do. But I think in the same sense, while you can be a friend and you can be friendly and you can show grace and you can show mercy and you can show all of these things, I don't believe that God's will and his desire is for you to suffer to that extent. And so you have to be honest with yourself on what pain am I possibly inflicting on myself? What pain am I allowing other people to inflict on me? And what pain is it that I now need to surrender back to God, that I need to place back on the altar? Because I understand that this level of pain is something that I will not be able to heal myself. This level of pain is something that I may have the practicality to get through it, but now it's time that I pray, that I put it on the altar, that I take it to God, that I allow myself to release in his presence, because there's some things that can only be healed, remedied. There's some things that can only be solved and fixed in his presence. And so knowing when to surrender, because I think sometimes we think that surrender is a one-time thing. We go to the altar, we release, we receive salvation, and then you get to a place where it's like, okay, I did that part. That was the hard part. I walked in front of everybody, or I scanned the QR code. I did whatever that I needed to do to show that I made this commitment. That was the easy part. That was the surrender. But in life, what I'm realizing is that surrender is a repetitive thing. It don't just stop in one instance, in one moment. It's not just a end all be all. I remember I could not figure out why it was like I had to keep surrendering the same thing over and over. It was almost like, oh my gosh, God, what are you trying to do at this point? Because I am having to surrender this thing. I say I release it. Then here we are again. Gotta surrender it again. Then here we are again. Gotta surrender it again. And so knowing that surrender is a repetitive process, it is not the same. Just like evolution is a continuation of your healing and your growth, so is surrendering and healing. I write poetry. That is my release. I know some people journal. Poetry is my release. So whether you journal or you write poetry, allowing yourself to be honest even in that. How crazy is it to be an artist or sing whatever it is that you do to release? How crazy is it to be in a place where your art is not matching your reality? Writing these happy-go-lucky poems, but what you really want to talk about, you feel is too deep or it's too dark. No, put it on paper. Allow yourself to journal and to write honestly from a place of honesty. You may not be 100%. You may not be in a place where you can smile 24/7. If behind that smile, there's a frown, there's tears, what is the benefit of the smile? It's performative. We can even make it spiritual. If you're going to church every Sunday and you are crying and lifting your hands and you are doing all of these things that appears to be ushering you into the presence of God, but you never truly step into his presence, what good is it? And you can't get there because there's so many things on your heart. There's so many things that is burdening you. There's so many things in your mind. It's just so much going on that you're present, but you are not truly in his presence. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. It is in his presence that become whole. Remember the story of the man at the pool of Bethesda. He had an option to be healed or to be whole. It was his faith that made him whole. And so I believe that's something that God is offering up to us as well. Do you want to be healed? Or do you have enough faith to believe that your healing, presented to God and surrendered to God fully in faith, will then result in you being whole? Who is it that you go to when you are in these moments where it's like, I am hurting so bad, but nobody sees me? Because I've been there where I was hurting so bad, and I just wanted someone to see me and to say, I see you. You may not think that I see you, but I see. Even as I'm saying this, I believe that there will be someone that listens to this podcast and they need to hear that you are seen, and that if nobody sees you, I see you. And so knowing that you have those outlets, you have a community that can support you. But even with support, you have to be honest that you need the help. You have to be honest that you're falling apart. And I don't say this jokingly, I mean it. You are just a mess, and you don't even know where to start to remedy the mess. And so give yourself permission to be human, to be healed, to be whole. Give yourself permission to put yourself first. It's okay if you put yourself first sometimes. Give yourself permission to cry if you have to cry. We all struggle. And I don't care how much you try to spiritualize it. We all struggle. Knowing how to deal with struggle in a healthy way, knowing who to go to is what makes the difference. Knowing who in your circle you can call and you can trust and know that they will come through for you is what's important. And so I want you to think about this. Take a few moments to think about, what is one thing that you've been pretending does not bother you, but it's actually tearing you up. It's eating away at you, and you're still pretending like it doesn't bother you. What is that one thing? I remember a couple of weeks ago, it was at a young adult event, and we were talking about mental health. And one of the exercises that I had them do was to release and reclaim. I told them what it is that they planned on releasing, to write it on an index card and to place it on the altar and leave it there, because what it is that you're releasing, you're going to lay on the altar and you leave it there and you walk away from it. On the other side was cards for reclaim. What is it that you want to reclaim about yourself? And it started on the altar. But as they wrote it, they picked it back up. And I told them that was the card that they were to keep with them, what it is that they wanted to reclaim. And when I tell you, it was some of the most powerful things that was said. And so I ask you today, what is it that you need to release and lay down? And what is it that you need to reclaim? Whether that's your joy, your happiness, your peace, your wholeness, your sanity, what it is that you need to reclaim, that you abandoned in those things, in those places, in those spaces that you need to release. It's time for you to go back and get them. The good things. We get so caught up in the bad and reciting the bad to ourselves, the things that people have said about us, the things that people have done to us, the things that people have made us feel, the things that people have made us truly take on as our identity. That was never what you were placed here to be, but you took it on because you started letting people get in your head. You started letting things fester and occupy space that it was never intended to have. You allowed things to occupy space that it was never intended to have. Whether it was in your heart, whether it was in your mind, whether it was in your soul, you allowed things to occupy space that it was never intended to take up. And so now this is where you begin to free up some space. You begin to release some things. You begin to understand that though you may be feeling something, that does not mean that is who you are. You may be in a temporary season, a temporary space, but that is not who you. And so remember, healing doesn't happen in hiding, right? It doesn't. The things we bury, it does not disappear. What we deny, what we avoid, what we say, oh, I'm just going to take me a nap. It doesn't go away. When you wake up, it's still there. It's still there. And so what you don't confront then begins to spill over into other areas of your life. It shows up in your friendships. It shows up in your relationships with your family. It shows up in your relationships with the opposite sex, whether it's in a romantic relationship, a marriage, whatever it is. If you do not confront it, if you do not deal with grief, allow yourself to grieve, but don't allow it to kill everything around you. And what I mean by that is don't allow it to destroy the very things that are placed by God to support, free, and help you. Because I believe that unhealed grief then becomes bitterness, and it will harden your heart. And sometimes you think that people don't see you because you're smiling and you're going through the motions and you're performing. You have become so performative. But then there are some people where I see you. I know that season of your life where you lost was not as easy as you're pretending that it was. I know that though you prayed and you did everything that you needed to do, rightfully so, there's still a part of you yearning to be free from grief. And so again, knowing that there are things that if we continue to hide them, it is almost impossible to heal them. Because honestly and truly, you cannot heal. You can't heal what you keep hiding. And so if this episode spoke to you, just remember to share it with other women that you think may benefit from this episode. Women that you may think are carrying things in silence, because some of us do. We do. Send this to them. And just remember that heal girls heal girls. And so that is why you need to heal, because there is an entire generation waiting for you to be healed and to be whole. Again, this is Shakira. This was the Girl Healed Podcast, episode 2. You can't heal what you keep hiding.